Hello and welcome to Alfons Zeileis. My name is Johanna Nagelsbach. I am the grandniece of the famous artist Alfons Zeileis. Today we will talk about a very current subject, vaccination. Did vaccination exist in the 19th century? For which illnesses did it exist? Was Alfons Zeileis vaccinated? We will talk about this in this video. It is 1888, the year of the three emperors. On 25th of June 1888, the newly crowned Emperor William II opened the Reichstag, the German parliament, for the first time in his term of office. Van Gogh paints several versions of his sunflowers in August of that year. A document from the estate of Alfons Zeileis is dated the 1st of August. On the 1st of August 1888, Alfons Zeileis from the Marktheidenfeld vaccination district is certified as having been successfully vaccinated on 30th of April 1888. Little Alfons was not yet a year old at the time. The vaccination certificate does not mention which disease was vaccinated against. From the point of view of the time, the matter was clear. Alfons Zeileis was vaccinated against smallpox. Smallpox was an often fatal disease. The disease causes skin blisters to form, which are called smallpox. The press reported outbreaks of smallpox time and again. Houses where people had smallpox were marked and quarantined. People who had smallpox were often marked by ugly scars. The New York Tribune brings statistics on the subject on the 25th of January 1870. Prior to the introduction of smallpox vaccination, the death rate from smallpox relative to 1,000 deaths was as follows. New York, 100 per 1,000 deaths. London, 98 out of 1,000 deaths. Prussia, 111 out of 1,000 deaths. After the introduction of vaccination, deaths from smallpox declined as follows. New York, 17 out of 1,000, London, 25 out of 1,000, and Prussia, only 7.5 out of 1,000 deaths. These figures are quite impressive. Smallpox was responsible for 10% of all deaths, year after year, before vaccination was introduced, and even 20% in the big cities, because of the proximity and faster transmission of the disease. What was that vaccination? At the end of the 18th century, the Briton Dr. Edward Jenner developed a method of vaccination against smallpox. The word vaccine comes from the Latin word vacca, for cow. Cows have a similar disease. Infection with cowpox can also protect people against smallpox. Milkers recognized this fact early on and used it to immunize themselves against smallpox, without any scientific background. Edward Jenner researched and systematized the procedure so that mass vaccination became possible. He thus laid the foundation stone of immunology. To this day, the word vaccine, derived from the Latin word vacca for cow, recalls the origins of vaccination. As early as 1807, Bavaria introduced compulsory free-of-charge vaccination against smallpox. Anyone who opposed vaccination had to pay a fine. After two large outbreaks of smallpox in 1870 and 1873 with over 180,000 deaths, on 18th of April 1874, despite all skepticism and criticism, Chancellor Bismarck introduced compulsory vaccination against smallpox. It was only abolished again in 1976. In the 19th century, public vaccination dates were announced in newspapers, which the population could or had to go to. There were no personal invitations. Even then, there were opponents of vaccination who obtained forged certificates. There were always investigations and complaints about death. In many cases, however, no clear connection to vaccination could be established. Often, other causes were clearly found. Even then, medical autopsies were carried out. However, because of the clear and distinct effectiveness of vaccination, compulsory vaccination was maintained. What did such a vaccination look like? The vaccine was scratched into the skin with a bifurcation needle. This resulted in scabs and finally in the scar that is still familiar to older people. This is how you can see the success of the vaccination. On 26th of October 1979, the World Health Organization declared the world free of smallpox. On 1st of May 1899, Alfons Zeileis was vaccinated against smallpox for the second time at the age of 11, this time in Würzburg. Only 1 week later, the success of the vaccination was certified. By the way, at that time, vaccination was compulsory in many parts of the world and the United States of America. Without such a certificate, travel was only possible to a very limited extent at that time. Thank you for accompanying Alfons Zeileis during his vaccinations. I now have exciting news for you. The Zeileis family will move. But why and where to? We will talk about this in the next video. I look forward to seeing you then.